Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I know we have Mr. Deeb here with us. We have, is Rick Wallen on? I believe he told me he was coming here, so Rick is also coming here, which I want to hear from Rick if he's coming. Hang on 1 second.
Nobody from the planning, huh? Interesting.
It's the first 90-degree weather day. Everybody's probably enjoying this.
Scooby-Doo.
I got you on speaker, Rick. Let's not do that. Are you coming? All right, come on. We're waiting on you because you're going to start us off. Hurry up. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we're hosting this study session about the development that's taking place on Ann Arbor Trail. I know that there has been some concerned residents. There has been some concerns from the builders and the owners of that land. What I can tell you is I've had some good conversations this past week about really what's going on. I've spoken to a lot of the residents. I haven't really gotten a chance to speak with anybody from the development side, but from what it seems like, is there needs to be some type of development. The reality is everybody has this conception or misconception of, if you're going to be building, I'm hearing condos, I'm hearing apartment complexes, I'm hearing a bunch of different ups and downs. And so I want to be able to let you guys to come out and maybe put those things, address those residents and explaining on what your vision is for the site. And I would also like you to be able to differentiate between the two. Is this going to be a condos? Are these going to be apartment complexes? If they are, can you present the city with some type of rendering, maybe so that we can showcase these? And then I'd also like to hear also from some of our residents. I know our building director is going to be speaking as well. And Mr. Deeb, I know some of the council members are concerning is just to maybe get some things in writing about, is it a wetland or is it not? With the proper engineering, but we would love to actually just hear from you, have the floor. I want to make it very clear that this isn't like a bicker and back and forth. This is going to be a civil discussion, because at the end of the day, everyone in this room has some type of feelings one way and the others have the opposite way. And I believe at the end of the day, everybody wants what's best. And I can tell you that this body here right now is torn between the two. But the reality is, I can tell you right now, it's not going to stay an empty field. Like it's not negotiable. Yeah. An empty field is not something, number one. And number two, we also don't want to put ourselves in between, finding ourselves like what happened with the car wash, where we put ourselves in a litigation and then the city ends up getting sued and the courts end up, making the determination. We're also not putting ourselves in that position. But what we'd also like is from the developers to understand that whatever it is that you're doing, we want you to be mindful of the residents. Like we don't want, and I know you guys are residents of Dearborn Heights, what we don't want to see is residents not feel comfortable in where they live, right? And so this is a two-way street. We all have to come together and finding a way to trusting each other. This is not me coming here and just telling you guys what you want to hear, but the truth is the builders and the investors need to feel trusted, but our residents and our community also wants to feel trusted. And so the misconception of what is it that you're bringing, will it cause any flooding? Is it going to be overseeing it to somebody's homes? Can you offer some type of rendering? Are these going to be high-end, low-end? And just kind of, take the floor from there.
Yeah, and we'll speak. I apologize if this is a more of a casual approach to these proceedings. I wasn't aware of the special meeting until just recently, so I apologize if I missed the communication or something along those lines. So I'm not fully prepared with renderings and a PowerPoint and all that type of stuff. I did have it at one time for the Planning Commission, but it was deemed that it wasn't necessary. And what we didn't want to do, I mentioned it before, was put the cart in front of the horse, right? I mean, right now, the obstacle or the hurdle that's in front of us that we're looking to clear is rezoning, okay? And of course, the concerns of the city, not just from a functional perspective, but from an aesthetics perspective and from a utilities perspective and a resource management perspective, those all have to be considered. And I can assure you that that is a priority for us as we look to pursue this development. There's one big item that I want to make sure gets a little bit of attention here. And you brought it up, Councilman Beydoun. You mentioned the term wetlands, right? And that was brought up in the planning commission discussion. And that was somebody that was saying, I've reached out to so-and-so and they said such and such. That's verbatim what they said, but that's kind of the gist of what they said.
You're paraphrasing.
The response to that from Councilman Turfy, and I'm not trying to be like...
Commissioner, not Councilman.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, I apologize for that. From Commissioner Turfy was, I looked it up on the Michigan National Wetland Authority. It's a website that I pay for annually because it's not a real estate developer. I'm a real estate developer myself, and it's not wetlands. This is somebody who voted against the rezoning, saying, hey, let's make sure that we use facts here and not just opinions or hearsay. So a planning commission member who's against the development has said this is not a wetland property, and he's verified it himself through a paid site. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're discussing facts here, right? Some other key points that I want to make sure that we address is the feasibility of the project, right? And the city has 9 conditions, 9 criteria that they have to assess in order to determine whether or not they should proceed with rezoning. Okay, I'm not an expert. Okay, I don't think that everybody in this room is an expert, but there's a person that's responsible within the city who is an expert on that to make the decision on those 9 items, and it's Mr. Deeb. And Mr. Deeb wrote in his letter that this does meet all the criteria for the rezoning activities.
And I want to pause you real quick, and this was the conversation that I had with Mr. Deeb, and I believe I had with Vince, and I slightly had this with Angela as well. There was 1,700 signatures against the car wash on Ford Road. 1,700 signatures. And it sits on the corner of Kinmore and Ford Road. Almost every single person in northern Dearborn Heights, between Inkster to Wilson to Gully down, signed that petition. It went to court, and the court saw that it met its requirements of the 9 things. And then there was a lawsuit. The court ordered that this thing could happen, and then the city went into litigation. Moral of the story is, I want to hear, before I interrupt you, I want to hear from Mr. Deeb if these are the same 9 requirements that the court requested for this other development for the car wash was done. And if you don't mind, can you unmute Mr. Deeb? Hi, Angela. Can you unmute George? George, I'm sorry. I called her Angela. Or if Rick, you can answer that. Mr. Deeb.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So, to begin with, so we follow the zoning ordinance that's currently in effect. And the zoning ordinance have 9 points rezoning guidelines. And that is specified in section 36-523C. And if the question is, are those the same 9 points that were used by the prior, whoever reviewed it for the car wash? It wasn't myself, but yes, the answer is yes. These are the 9-point guidelines that are specified in the current zoning ordinance, which we follow for all our evaluations. So it isn't just the rezoning request. We follow the ordinance book for all of our reviews. So the answer is yes, sir. The same.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I had that was a question that I didn't have
No
answered.
problem.
So I wanted to
I understand. I understand your reason for asking these things, and I don't mind that the discussion was cut off there. But again, even during that last planning commission meeting, there was members of the planning commission that were stating as fact that it did not meet the criteria. Right. So we have a person who's deemed a professional to assess these things, saying it meets all the criteria, and a person who's not a professional, is not paid by the city to make that decision, saying it isn't consistent with the
Well, if a
requirements.
planning commission member said that, then they do work for the plan, they work for this, I would hope.
I understand that.
So if they're saying it didn't, they actually do work for the city.
I'm not saying that they don't work for the city. I'm saying that there is somebody who's responsible for it, who's to make that decision, right? So they're the responsible party for making that decision, whether or not it's such. So one person's opinion is different than the city engineer who's providing the formal response to those questions, right? And I want to make sure that we stay with facts and data when doing this assessment, right? When we're doing this exercise over here. And I'm not necessarily prepared to put in front of the city council a formal rendering and things of that nature. Our intention has always been to clear rezoning before we go through with renders and things of that nature. But if you ask what the intent is, okay, I can speak to that, right? Our intention is to have a multifamily property there. We're not 100% certain if we want to go with condo or if we want to go with apartment, right? But regardless, the intention is to provide a housing that is deemed aesthetically at a high level, right? A mix of materials in there, a more of a modern look to it, maybe similar to what's in the area right now, but with more, more updated materials and things of that nature. We see development happening other places like Garden City, like Westland, things of this nature over here, and we're looking to make sure that we're doing something that's better than that, right? We recognize that we're in Dearborn Heights. We're in a nice area of Dearborn Heights. We're close to the golf course. Aesthetics do matter, right? And the other parts that are there are very complementary to the plan, right? I mean, Ann Arbor Trail is a high-capacity road. I know that there's concerns regarding when Hines drives floods and things of that nature, but Ann Arbor Trail has capacity for, I think it's like 10,000 vehicles per day. It was compared, our property was compared to a similar request for rezoning that was on what's west of Kinmore, one block of Kinmore, I believe it is.
Evangeline?
I'm sorry, I said west. I meant east, and I think it was 2 blocks east after Gully.
Gully.
After Gully, what's after Gully?
Silver Lake.
Highland?
Highview.
Highview. I think it was Highview. So there was a request for rezoning for a property on Highview, and they compared on Highview between Ford Road and Haas, and they compared that quarter-acre parcel to this two and a quarter acre parcel. Like they're not even on the same level, and that was deemed a criteria for not voting for the recommendation by one of the council members. I mean, it's not even comparing apples to oranges at that point. It's comparing apples to meat. It's not even in the same category of fruit at this point over here. So I just want to make sure that when we're having our discussions over here, that we keep it to facts. And I understand everybody has an opinion. I have wants that doesn't necessarily translate to needs, right? And I want to make sure that we're assessing the needs of the city, okay, and the facts that are in front of us. That's it.
Yep. Thank you, Councilor Chair. Mr. Neda, thank you very much for being here today, and thank you for thinking for your next investment to be in Dearborn Heights. The only reason I asked for this to come to a study session because they gave us the information on Thursday. There's not much. I went through the minutes. I mean, it's kind of confusing. I wasn't
There's
at
a lot of them,
yeah, there's a lot of material. I wasn't at the Planning Commission meeting, and it was Memorial Weekend, so it was hard to get hold of anybody. And just for out of fairness to all the people, it was going to take a good hour to discuss, and it's not fair for the people at the council meeting. So that was the only reason. And for me to make a decision, we needed more information.
I understand.
So thank you for being here today again. And so just
I
to get,
apologize for the lack of preparation. My intention, if I had more time to prepare, if I had known, I don't know how I missed the communication. I'm not even sure if it was sent to me or not. But, I would have come prepared with a slide deck or things of that nature. So I apologize for that.
no problem. So if you think about condos or apartments, which is going to be, you said 2 levels, either townhomes or condos. So which way do you think it's going to be built on the property? Are you going to have 2 buildings on each side and a street in between?
So we did some schematic drawings during the due diligence period prior to purchase of the property, and I engaged with the consultant at that time, and we have a handful of renderings and options and things of that nature, right? But the one that seems, cost efficient and aesthetically beneficial and things of that nature, right, is probably having separate buildings that are shaped in a U around an entrance to the property, right? That's what looks like it's the most likely occurrence, right? I mean, but whether a building is positioned north-south or whether a building is positioned east-west, there's so much frontage available, there's so much land available, there's so many opportunities and options for placing parking and waste disposal and sewer lines and things of that nature that we've got a lot of flexibility, right? I mean, there is a lot of flexibility there. And of course, the intention is to come back to the city, to the Planning Commission, to ensure that what we're doing meets the requirements, provides an aesthetic benefit to the city, provides a functional benefits to the city, and also provides a financial benefit to the city, right? An increase in revenue from tax dollars, an increase in business revenue from participation and increase in the number of consumers in the area. These are all good things that need to be considered when you guys are making your decision as well.
I mean, to be honest with you, all sounds good. The only concern that I had, and I had discussion with Rick today about it, and I think he'll go over it. I think you're gonna have some, well, once you build, you need to have some kind of mitigation for the water, correct?
That,
Rick?
we've considered that, and actually, our architect told us that we've either need to ensure that we've got a water detention or a water retention system.
Correct.
Forgive me, I don't know which one it is. The language is the wording is very similar, and I just forget which one.
As
I don't
long
wanna put
as
on
you're
record.
aware, because I think it's
we are aware of that, and we have some, drawn on a napkin type of estimates that we've put together that kind of check the box in terms of what's budgeted for that.
Rick, can I hear from you a little bit on this project and your thoughts? Rick Watland, our building and engineering director, has been with the city for 30 plus years.
If you look at the zoning map, everything around this property is RM already. And when he first bought it, we thought it was in the RM. And it misses right at Columbia. So, I mean,
So, Mike, Council Chair, the question to you is, I've seen this property, I've looked at pictures over the years on it with water in it and stuff. Is it designated as a wetland? Do you know?
no, there used to be a house there, and where the big hole is in the middle, I think that's where everything's just kind of sunk. Because it's like a pond right in the middle of the lot.
Hang on, let the councilman finish.
That's it, that's the only question I had.
Hang on, go ahead, councilwoman.
Is it possible that the previous house had a basement that wasn't filled in properly?
Well, it could have had a basement, and then when they fill it in, it'll still,
Depression.
sink after years,
So do you know if that basement's still down there and what we removed?
No, I'm sure it's gone, but it's just when it got filled back in, it's probably just sunk. So,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I just want to revert back.
Speak into the mic, please.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what I said earlier. I mean, I was trying to suppress the additional discussions that may come up about the wetlands. Again, I don't have the documentation in front of me saying one way or another, but the Commissioner Turfy indicated on the record that he reviewed the Michigan DNR, and I'm using DNR in place of
Michigan
whatever.
National Wetland Authority.
Yeah, he confirmed that it is not wetlands. So that really shouldn't be a point of discussion.
But just, the due diligence falls on you, not on the commission, not on the city, it falls on you. And if it's something that's requested, it falls on you.
It has not been formally requested
Okay.
from me.
But we asked, I understand that a commissioner might say that to you with all respect, but until I see something from you that I'm asking, to be honest with you, I don't take it, just like you said, everybody has an opinion and their wants and needs, and I had some residents and that were concerned about that, and that's the only reason I'm asking.
And that's not a problem. I understand. And if that's the case, then I just ask that we assess it based off of facts and not on an opinion. So if there's any ambiguity, if we think that, hey, it may be one way or another, then we should wait until that information is clearly presented, indicating as such, and not make decisions based off of, well, this person said this and that person said that. That's all I ask.
Nobody's here to make a decision
Okay.
today. What it is that we're asking from a city official, that knows this, I'm asking them directly. Nobody's here to make a decision regarding that. What it is a question that was raised by a bunch of residents, and I'm clarifying it for you. That's all it is.
The question has been received, and like I said, we will do our part to ensure that we've got clarity on that. I do want to put out there that during the period of due diligence, we did do soil testing. I don't have those records available right now, but we did do soil testing during the period of due diligence, and we confirmed that the soil is suitable for construction. So, and that was a go, no-go indicator at the time, and I actually told Rick about it when we did it, so.
yeah. And it is not in our wetlands map.
I mean, and again, I think the councilman here is just saying, because again, let's go, we want to use, we're using the word perception, because the perception is, there's water there, and so it could be a wetland. So a lot of the people that live in there, and that's okay, they're scared, and it's okay to be scared, and someone needs to hear reassurance from the experts. And so if you get some type of survey or something stating, hey, this is not a wetland, and it can be submitted, and to show people that live in the area, like I can tell you right now, there's new businesses that happen open down on Ford Road. I live across the street. We never saw flooding until these new businesses came around. So it's like, people are afraid.
Can I just say something?
You know, I'm not saying that it is going to cause some type of flooding, but look, what we're trying to do here, and I think we've learned from the past, is that if something's gonna happen, we just wanna make sure we're dotting our i's, we're crossing our t's, and we're not just saying, sure, go do whatever you want. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening today, because you can tell that's not what's happening today.
And I want to add to that, prior to purchasing the property, I was working with a realtor, and we didn't close on the property for 90 days because I had an engineering company come out there and do the soil sampling, and he said something similar to what you said. There was a structure here. The structure's no longer there, and that's why there's a hole there. There was no water at the time. It was in the summertime. But I didn't close on the property for 90 days after we did our due
I'm
diligence.
so sorry, guys, nothing from the audience. Let's say I have these side chats inside, please, if you do, we can have them outside. Thank you.
That's all I wanted to say, is that we did our due diligence. We had an engineering company come out there prior to me closing on the property. I wasn't going to close on the property after, because we did hear, could be wetland, it could be this. So we did our due diligence, closed on the property, and the engineering company from Detroit at the time said there was a structure on the property, but it was not a gas station, and that's what we confirmed.
And you can see exactly where the structure is.
Council Chair, I just want to put, I'm not against this project. I believe that the development should happen there, and I believe in all developments in our city. It's just there's certain
Criteria.
concerns and criteria that come that we ask, and it's fair. And I mean, believe me, anybody that buys a property, you're not buying it to look at it, so.
100%. And I want to just share that we could possibly be living there. We're here, we live in Dearborn Heights full-time right now. Eventually it will be part-time, and we could possibly be living there. So we're not going to build anything that we wouldn't want to be in, to be honest. We have a second property that we're always out at. Once our kids are done school, we will not be in the area other than here and there, and that's where we'll live. So if it's good enough for us, we have high standards. I think it'd be good enough for a lot of people. Just wanted to add that.
All right.
Rick, Council Chair?
Yeah.
Rick, I want to ask you, so how does the process work? So if we approve this, does it go to the zoning board, or we just approve it to be rezoned right away?
Well, it'll be approved to be rezoned.
So
And then once he gets his drawings done and everything, it'll go back to planning commission for a site plan approval. And then
So what about the zoning board? There's no zoning board? I thought there's,
it matters how he draws it, so if he needs any variances, he may have to go to zoning, but he might not need any of that.
so how come the zoning board doesn't look at stuff like this before it comes to us?
He doesn't have a variance.
Because they give variances, so if you need 10 feet, and you only have 9, they can give you that 1-foot variance, the
But
planning
they don't work on
commission-
like rezoning them?
Right.
I'd like to hear from anybody from the audience. Anybody wants to step up? Vince, I know you said you asked for an additional minute or two. No, it's a study session. We're gonna give you 3 minutes.
Well, hopefully I won't take that long. It's a little rough breathing today because of all the wildfires. Drapkowski, Columbia Street, Wayne County. My concern is how it's been presented without an actual visual detail of what's going to happen there. I understand that the city is advancing, that the lot will never stay a lot. I understand that. But I can give you some history on that area. My wife was born in that house that we live in presently. And I'm not going to tell you her age because she'd probably beat me up. But I remember as a kid when I lived in the area, it was all farmland. So that could have been possibly a barn or a hay shelter or anything, something like that. Because across the street where the newer condos are now was a barn, a hay field, and a cornfield. So that I know for a fact.
They told us it was concrete. You told me the structure was concrete.
Well, they could have had a foundation, yeah. But that entire area was all farm. Of course, like a lot of areas, were all farm at once. So it seems to me that the process is somewhat a little backwards, on how, if you don't have a drawing or a rough idea of what you're imagining, and you present it, then how are we supposed to, as residents, say, oh, that looks great, or no, that doesn't look great? So that's one of my major concerns.
Pause this time real quick.
Council Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Vince, with respect to you, if I'm going to use as example as myself, if I decide to build a house the way I want it, as long as I meet the variance, to be honest with you, it doesn't, as long as I meet the variance, it's really not up to anybody how a structure looks like, as long as I'm meeting all the variances.
Okay.
You know, that's an opinion.
Yeah.
But if it's, and I'm building for me, it's something for me.
Right, that's for you.
So if, as long as they meet the variances and they're within the guideline of the variances of the city and the building code, it's up to them what they choose, colors, windows, whatever, as long as it's within the variance of what the city
Yeah,
allows.
they gotta live in it, not,
Right, so that's, and that's what I'm saying for that, and to their aspect of things, why would they go spend money, make all these drawings that we may not go approve?
right.
The process isn't backwards. It's just,
Well-
it's a formal process to start the work. You can't go ahead and say, I'm gonna build hypothetically a gas station, and you come here and say, no, you can only build homes there. Why would I go spend $10,000-$15,000 on drawings for no reason?
Right. Okay.
Council Chair.
So I was just gonna kind of piggyback on that. You know, I know you want to visualize it. The truth is,
Because I'm a visual person.
yeah, and so am I.
Okay,
And so am I. And so, like, guys, and me and Vince had this conversation. We had a very good, candid conversation today. And it was more so him just saying, like, one, wants to make sure that it's not flooding the neighbors.
Exactly.
And that's not putting your guys, and anybody in jeopardy. Number two, the second thing is, that him and I had was, he's lived there all his life. He just wants to know what it's going to be there. And I explained to him, I said, Vince, they bought the land, not you. They bought it. If they want to go out and develop this however they want to, and if they meet the requirements, it's on them. But, from just you guys coming here and speaking, I mean, I would love to be able to see some type of presentation if you guys had that opportunity, show the city and, work with your neighbors and work with your, the people that are going to be living amongst this area, because you want good neighbors. You don't want people to standing out here and coming out and saying, man, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this at every single meeting. I mean, I would personally love to see, like, is there going to be a playscape for if there are children in the area? Is there going to be some type of greenery to be able to block off some of the neighbors that stay adjacent with it? These are questions that, like, maybe Rick and the residents can have. But I think people want to see, look, I'm going to call it for what it is. Nobody wants to see what's happening on Cherry Hill next to the old 7-Eleven. A bunch of apartments into people's backyards, weeds growing out, things looking trash. How about this? Forget the residents that live in the area. I don't want that. I don't want it. And so it seems like you guys care and you guys want to do good things. I mean, and then that would be in the kindness of you guys. In no way, shape, or form do you have to give us any renderings. Obviously, you just have to give your plans to the building department. But we would love that you could have this working relationship with us, especially since you guys are residents. And you can only imagine you're somebody that opposed the car wash. I mean, you guys opposed it on Ford Road. The courts ordered over what you guys said. I remember you guys coming in and being very vocal about it. Tables are reversed today, and here we are, But the reality is this, if you don't mind, maybe give out some, like, rendering if you could. Yeah, please go ahead.
Just one quick question. I didn't hear you because you were talking about the reservoir, the water holding.
Water detention.
Retention. Was it going to be a retention basin or a retention pond? A pond. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vince.
So I'll answer Vince's question first about water management. It is absolutely considered. I don't want to say, hey, it's going to be retention or detention or whatever it is. We've engaged with the engineer. They've told us that it's a requirement, and we would be compliant with that. I can't say what it is. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm not a structural engineer. I can't speak to what it is, but whatever the requirements are in order to ensure that we don't have runoff causing issues downstream or wherever it may be, that will be addressed. Okay. And Mr. Baidoon, in regards to what you had called out, I'll go back a little bit to what Councilman Saab had indicated, saying, hey, can't go and spend X amount of dollars on what the future will be when we're not sure what the present is, right? We're willing to participate. We're willing to do some things, but at the same time, we want to make sure that there is an approach that is measured, right? I mean, we've been going through this exercise for a long period of time, and we want to make sure, we want to do what we can to promote our intended outcome. And I understand your request. We can put something together, but it won't be very formal because we don't want to go to a point where we're spending, tens of thousands of dollars for drawings and renderings when we're not sure what the outcome is going to be. As Mr. Saab said, that's typically an outcome, that's typically a next step in the process, or as he alluded to. But I've said it before in regards to what our intentions are, right? I mean, whether it's two-story walk-ups or whether it's a two-story apartment, I mean, we're looking to do something that's going to provide an aesthetic benefit for the city as well, too. And, you had mentioned, greenery and playscapes, of course, right? I mean, that's how we would be able to promote attraction to the apartment complex itself. I know that the city of Dearborn Heights is nowhere near their intended goal of 300-something apartment units being built per their city plan. I know that there's been some movement toward that, but I don't even think we've knocked out, a third of that. So, there's definitely opportunity for it. I think overall it provides something good for the city. If you guys are patient, then we can try to come up with some kind of casual rendering, and I'll stress it as a casual rendering because we don't want to invest into those soft costs prematurely.
No, and I think a lot of AI things out there today, you can break them down. I think Adam in the audience here could probably even do it for free. He's like an IT guru. But the reality is, I think just some type of visual, and maybe that should be a criteria now.
Perhaps it should be. I mean,
and I know it's not, but maybe some adjustments need to be made because
But again, it's one of those things where you got a balancing act, right? If you do it right, a project of this size, I mean, our pre-construction costs are going to be a six-figure cost, right? And a big chunk of that is going to be in the drawings, right? So I mean, to jump ahead like that, formally, it's just not in the cards right now. But in a casual approach, if the city is willing to accept something that's or I shouldn't even say the city, but if the people here are willing to accept something that's a little bit casual, non-formal, we can put something together.
Sure.
Council Chair?
Yep.
Thank you. I got three things. I'm wondering why the building was torn down that was there originally. Was there an issue with flooding or just it was old or burned down or?
It was before our time.
I mean, how old was it? It's been that long and it's still settling? Or is there a water problem still?
Nobody has done anything in that piece of property except cut the grass.
Okay. Are you guys developers?
We are not professional, formal developers, no.
But
We've built a couple homes. We have some construction experience, but I wouldn't label us as formally as developers.
Do you have
not yet, anyhow.
Do you have like an onboard engineer,
Guys,
architect?
point of order. Nothing from the audience,
Or somebody that
please.
you work with all the time or something?
Yes.
And what I'm getting at, maybe
We do.
Maybe you can come up with some pictures of a very similar project.
We have pre-purchase of the property. We had a consultant engage with us so that we can confirm density, so that we can do our financial projections. I mean, really, that was the intent of the drawings that we had, just to confirm, what the property had a capacity for. And I don't like using the word capacity, but just what would be feasible for the property. So I have some drawings, but I'll be honest with you, they're those were dated. I mean, we bought this property 5 years ago. Those projects were probably from 5 years before that. The materials that are represented on there, they may be new from 10 years ago, but I don't know if that's the path that I would be going down right now. So I'm hesitant to present something like that to you. But I think we can come up with something casual and informal that we can work with the city, that we can work with the participants in.
I'm sure you want to put as much as you possibly can legally on that site and stay within.
Well, not necessarily. There's financial concerns as well too. I have to build what I can afford.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just build what it has capacity to. It's build what I can afford, and also build something that's attractive. I mean, if I can build 30 units that are going to get X amount of dollars, perhaps I can build 25 that are going to get me, 1.4X, and that's more beneficial for me.
Okay. Hey, Rick, for the detention, can they do the underground stuff like they do under parking lots? Maybe like that, yeah.
The whole thing is that's why we're just here.
Can you speak off the mic, please, Rick?
That's why we're just here for the rezoning before he even knows what he's going to do. Because it matters if he goes with condos, he just has to do sewers. If he goes with apartments, he'll have to do a pond or underground tanks. I mean, he could build 2 houses there bigger than any apartment building with no problem, and we couldn't say anything. So,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Tom, can you explain to me the difference between a retention and a detention?
Retention is, it retains the water and then gets rid of it later. And detention is it stays there, basically, and, it goes in the ground or something. Retention, detention, that's it. Then one just holds the water shortly and then releases it.
Where does it get released to then?
It's released,
Storm system.
like into the storm.
Goes into our sewer.
Oh, that's
But
right.
it goes into us
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
the big
That was
flood
my,
goes.
yeah, I did have one question. Now, just theoretically, the sewer system, the gas lines, every utility cannot handle more than one house, just theoretically. Who pays to have all that upgraded?
They do.
They do.
They do, every bit of it, yeah? Okay.
If Edison needs to put a transformer on the pole, the customer pays for it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Council Chair.
Thank you so much. Anyone from the residents? Hey, ma'am, please state your name. You have 2 minutes.
Renee Myrna, Annapolis Street, Dearborn Heights.
The name, the city, reside on the street that you live on. Sorry.
Okay.
I have to say the full.
I know the routine.
Yeah.
Okay, so much better meeting than it was the last time we were here. I don't know, you guys were gone when I made comments at the end of the meeting, but it didn't leave me with a really good feeling. I understand that change has to happen in cities. Like, cities change. They're not always going to be the mom and pop cities that we grew up with. Things have to happen. More housing has to happen. I understand that they want to develop in Dearborn Heights, and that involves some rezoning and other things. I have a couple of questions, though. You said you had a couple other properties. Have you had any problems with the residents when you were trying to build those, or any, problems since then with any problems with the residents? But nothing in Dearborn Heights? Okay, but do you have any problems with Dearborn Heights? One of the things is, when you mentioned that there was a petition with 17,000 signatures, and it still went through, the car wash went through, it makes me realize, do the citizens really have any choice, or is this all just playing out until everybody gets their approval of what they're going to do? Because if they reach certain criteria, it's going to pass regardless of what the residents think.
Well, the city has a statute of limitation that says if you meet a certain requirement, if you say this is what you need to do in order to build it, you meet them all, and you still deny them, the city's now then held responsible. So, but if they meet 7 of the 9, the city can deny them, saying you've missed these 2 requirements. But if they meet all 9, you can't come up. So yeah, and residents could buy it. You could. I mean, a different resident could have bought the land and said, "I want nothing to do with it." Mind you, I'm only using this information
Right.
because the one attorney that spoke at the last meeting did something similar to this, and that was when he was deliberating his message. This is what he was saying.
Okay, and the thing about the car wash, it was a great visual of the fact that the citizens really have no power if whoever made those 9 criteria, one of the criteria is, if the majority of the citizens are against it, the answer is no. That should have been criteria number 10. So not 9, should have been criteria 10, because that puts the citizen at 0. If they jump through these hoops or supposedly jump through these hoops. So that's fine. The other part is, when you were saying that place by 7-Eleven got developed, and then there's been nothing but problems, where's the follow-up? Where was the ticketing on the grass or on, so they can build and then just do whatever they want? I'm not saying that these folks would do it, but if the city's not following up on those, what's to say they're going to follow up on anything they're asking here, even with the flooding area? And one more thing is, so right now, everybody says, oh, yeah, it's not a flood zone. Well, that's what they said about the fire station. Is that not correct? Did
No,
they
fire
not
station's
say
not-
the original fire station was not a flood zone?
No, it's not a flood zone. It was just on a certain land. They didn't do proper testing to see if you can actually build on it. They assumed because it was a non-flood zone area that you can, right?
No.
Yeah, it wasn't a flood zone.
No, the current fire station where it's at right now, just the material that was put in the ground is actually banned federally and expands when it gets contact with water.
Yeah,
The
so-
structure itself, the foundation walls itself are solid in the building. The
Okay.
partition walls inside, because it sits on a slab, are moving around.
All right.
Because the material inside the property is expanding.
But what I'm saying is something was approved then and saying, oh, yeah, it's good to go. And then later on, maybe it was unforeseen, you know.
No. The building was approved perfectly fine. The contractor that backfilled the property in used material that's banned to use.
Okay.
And that's what happened. And we found 25 years later, this is what's happening.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, is that things can be passed, and you don't find out till later that, hey, that really wasn't the truth. And I understand that you said you got an email from Commissioner Turfy, but it's still hearsay in the meeting. Like, he's not here to say, yes, I did my research, here's my research. It would be good if Commissioner Turfy was here, because otherwise, that's hearsay. That's a third-party, opinion. And I know he can say, hey, here's the email from that, but it's still third party.
Yeah.
Just some of those things that just make me want to know where is the power of the people.
Thank you.
But not that I don't welcome them and to do what they have to do.
Thank you.
Just to make sure they do it with the citizens.
Council Chair?
Answer that question.
Yes.
I just want to follow up on a few things. Again, us asking them what they own in the city or what they do is irrelevant to this project. And it's not fair to judge them based on other projects or other properties they have. We're here for this direct project on Arbor Trail. I'm sorry? Right, but it's if I have a house and it's my own property, it's really no one's business what I do on that property as long as it meets the criterias. Now, if we want to set new criterias and base it on opinions, that's not government. Right, so the city, they do meet the 9 criterias, and that's been made very clear by our expert city engineer that does our infrastructure work and everything. Residents had certain concerns about wetlands and stuff, and they emailed us and called us and asked, and we asked honest question. Now, he should have came prepared, you said. If his engineer was here, his engineer would have been prepared. It's when somebody's building something, they don't have every single answer because they hire professionals to do it. And in order for, again, he stated, and I'm going back to what he said, I'm in this field of line of work. I develop. And you can't work backwards by going saying, here, I'm going to build, and again, I'm sorry, and hypothetically, I'm going to build apartments here, but I know the zoning only allows just a home. Why would I spend the money before I know it's going to get rezoned? So if he gets it rezoned, they're going to have to submit infrastructure plans. They're going to have to submit either a detention or retention plan. They're going to have to meet every variance by code that the city allows, height variances and everything else. And then it's going to come back to the city for approval. Now, and again, back to Vince, what Vince said, well, what is it going to look like? How's it going to look like? And again, it's not up to the residents to decide how it's going to.
Or the city council.
Or the city council decide what something's going to look like.
It's the city ordinance.
If I want to build a home that's this skinny to have my neighbor be upset with me because the house is this skinny just to block his view and I meet the 9 criterias, you can't stop me from building. Because then they'll go sue us. We'll be in violation of the Fair Housing Act because I own the property. If you had an issue with me buying the property, you should have bought it. That's what it's going to fall down to. And I was on the commission when the car wash got built. The judge said exact words in his motion that he said to us. You either build it with no conditions, or we allow it to be built with no conditions, or the commission approves it with conditions. It was going to get approved regardless. Why? Because they met the 9 criteria, but it was based on emotions that the residents were not happy with it. But unfortunately, the property itself fell in that criteria. I don't agree with that business, to be honest with you, because of traffic. But unfortunately, the law is the law. And we got to follow the law and the rules.
Just to highlight the fact that bottom line is if they meet the criteria, the citizens don't have nothing to stand on.
Correct, but it's part of the charter, and the citizens themselves approved that charter. And yes, I agree with you absolutely. Some updating needs to be done and revisions need to be done and a commission needs to be put. But currently, right now, the steps and processes in place, we're following the charter and the process and procedures.
All right, guys, we got to wrap this part up here.
Council Chair?
Yep, hold on one second. I want to hear from anything else from any of the audience.
Okay.
Okay, before you start, I want to hear from Councilman Wanso.
Okay, real quick, the phrase that we've been hearing 100 times today, and I don't think anyone knows exactly what it is the 9 points of criteria. I mean, does anyone know what the 9 points are? I'm sure Maybe Rick does, but
should
I
go
don't
through
know
that
what
again
they are.
because it
It'd
was
be nice to
negative
know what we're
planning
judging this property.
They are in the backup from last time.
There's one.
Yeah.
that's not-
Yeah, it's in the backup from last time.
There are, all 9 of them
All
are
9
in the
of
back
them.
of them?
Yeah.
The question, they're answered by Mr. Deeb, I think.
You should go
Page
back
2
to it
and
though,
3.
through the planning commission, because there was some, like, it wasn't facts. It was just like, well, it can go this way, it can go that way. So maybe you should go through the 9.
I'm gonna have you start, please state your name, the city you reside in, the street that you live on, you have 2 minutes.
Nadia Kent, Ann Arbor Trail, Dearborn
you.
Heights. I live right across the street. I have pictures too, if you want to see like how it looks right now. For the developers, they want to build on it, which is fine. I mean, we want it built on. I'd like it to stay in R1, just like the city paid almost $500,000 to do weight and trim, that master city plan. Are you familiar with it? Did that come up in any of this? Because it's very clear, and I've done some research on it. It's very clear that that parcel through weight and trim was to stay in R1, and that was for the best of the city.
I'm sorry, I wanna pause you real quick. You said you saw a city master plan?
Online, the weight and trim, they have a
It's not
website.
even out yet.
Yeah,
It's not out yet.
But it's a little old, but there is some information
Well,
on
we
it.
actually spent
And
500
and from the planning commission, they spoke about it, Mr. Turfy.
Yeah, so I want you to know that
Right.
we've been asking for about almost 5 years for a
Master plan.
for a master plan. We wouldn't be in this position today had we had a master plan, but we still don't have a master plan. So that master plan that you're looking at is actually from 2001. It was renewed in 2007, just like certain codes.
So it's old.
actually might even be from like 1995.
I thought I saw it 2019.
2007 was the last renewal.
Okay.
But all they've done
All
was
right.
just, and if they do, you do see a renewal, they're just renewing like codes. But we don't, haven't had a master plan
Okay.
since like
Okay.
2001.
Well, there was a discussion about it. I didn't
Yeah.
know if you spoke about it because I wasn't here
We
last meeting.
approved the money to,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Did they pick a company to?
Nothing,
nothing.
nothing.
Well, either way, right now, I mean, the area looks horrible. I don't know, you're gonna put all this money in it. Who's gonna take care of that area? Who, after it's built, whatever it's gonna be built, I mean, I'm assuming it's gonna be apartments. It could be whatever they want. I mean, they could tell me time and time, we wanna do this, we want condos, we want townhouses, but they could put Section 8, they could put an apartment building. Once you guys change the zoning, they could put whatever they want there, right? Is that true?
No, they'd have to go in front of the plan. If we rezone it.
Right.
And they set up, they would have to go back before the planning commission. Once they go before the planning commission, now they have sites. Then once the planning commission approves them, they come back to the city council. City council then has to come for the final review.
Because that's not what it was said at the planning
Yeah, yeah,
commission.
no. This is coming,
Okay.
and especially something like this, like, you
Right.
could take this to the bank on record. This
Could be
is coming
Section
before the
8.
planning commission.
Okay.
Because I can tell you right now, you want to add Section 8 right here, you're getting a no vote from Obeidun.
It could
Yeah, I
be,
mean,
though.
vote for mayor,
I don't think you
but
discriminate.
either way, also,
You can't discriminate Section 8.
You can't discriminate on that?
I don't think so.
Fair housing.
okay, but,
So you can't?
but there are other, can you,
Yeah, guys,
like, I have
nothing
to
from
be
the audience.
quiet? Okay, there are other things to look at, and I don't know if you've looked at this, increased traffic flow and congestion. There's already so much congestion in that area. My kids take a bus. There's no police officers. There's no, they speed. That's going to add, and this is coming from my husband, John over here had sent messages, emails to everyone
I
about
got you.
facts. We talk about facts. These are all facts about speed, about lack of sidewalks, about crime rates with multifamily homes, strains on local resources. He brought up economical, like this is what he can afford. He can afford this, but we can't afford the R1. So we have to also look at that aspect too. Those people around there are gonna move out. You have nice family neighborhoods and people that live in those houses, they're gonna move. The Dearborn Heights is just, you're gonna lose a lot of good people, I think, doing that. And if you wanna see the property, have you seen it?
I've seen it today. I went by it today. I don't know what you're talking about, but
You show us?
I mean, it's like, there's like over 6 feet grass.
no, come on.
I swear.
No, I was there today. I have a picture from today, from earlier today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, I just passed by it today, like 2 hours ago. You said 6 feet. You said 6 feet.
6 inches.
Is that feet?
6 inches probably, yeah. I'm sorry.
In 5 years, of ownership, we've gotten one time where somebody said, hey, you can cut the grass. We should do the garbage now. After fire, especially after fireworks. Yeah.
All right, guys, Councilman, can you text it to him?
Yeah.
Thank you. And by the way, you don't have to respond,
Yeah, I understand.
you know, and to be honest, I don't want to make this into a back and forth.
No problem. I thought that Councilman Ahmed had pointed at me saying, hey, did you want to answer that? So I wasn't sure what the question was referring to. That's why I got up, and then I saw him walk out over there. I'm not sure if anybody else has any other questions for me.
No, I would like to hear from anyone else in the audience. How you doing, ma'am? Please state your name, the city you reside in, the street that you live on. You have 2 minutes.
I only need 2 minutes. Sue Astor, I live on Columbia, and my backyard, my fence line is the field. I think from the first get-go of the meetings that we started having, I think they started out poorly, because when the builders originally came up, it was what's being built. One gentleman said condos, somebody said condos or apartments. And it was, well, what difference does it make? It makes a difference. I'm not opposed, I've lived there for, 12, 13 years now. And my uncle and aunt built their house there 50 and 54.
Yeah.
So I think anybody is a fool to think that it was never going to be built on. Okay? I'm not opposed to it being built on. Would I prefer single family homes? Absolutely. Would I prefer not some monstrosity? Absolutely. Can I live with a condo? Sure. What I don't want to see is an apartment building. The folks, and people aren't bad. Not everybody's bad. Apartments are transient folks. They're typically not there forever and a day, okay? And that's not everybody. I have friends that live in apartments. It's not what I'm saying. But I would like to see a more stable family, individual, whoever, come into the community. I'd like it to see it more aesthetically like the area. I don't want this square building like they built on, where's that, Warren and across from the golf course.
Can I pause you real quick?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
What a day, huh? What a day. I will tell you this, and this is just some food for thought now that I'm thinking. What if it was like senior housing living?
That would be outstanding.
What if you did 3 senior housing living because you have a ton of seniors that are wanting to live in the city of Dearborn Heights?
On a single.
Well, I mean, even if it wasn't on a single floor.
But I mean, I'm 56 years old. I would love my laundry on the first floor. They built the condos on Ann Arbor Trail, and it's Westland, but it's Farmington. Those, I really like those. I mean, I am not opposed to building, but I am concerned about water. They just put a new power pole in the corner of my yard. They went down 3 feet and they had about 3 feet of water in it. You know, my backyard gets a little mushy every spring. You know, it's not creeping up to my house, but there's concern. There's a what's that thing? A sewer right on the corner. It doesn't drain. You know, though, for someone who lives right up against it, it's a concern. You know, but again, I'm not I truly don't want an apartment
You just
building.
want to feel safe.
I do. You look at the apartment building that's at the corner of Ann Arbor Trail and Inkster, like
Yes.
on the other side of the dollar. That place looks like a piece of crap. It's you got the dumpster, you got garbage thrown everywhere. I don't want to live by that.
And I think this is a great, healthy discussion, but we also can't jump to the conclusion saying that these new developers are going to be that.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And I don't think you are.
I am
And
not
respect
saying that. And I think when we first started this, the very first meeting it came up is like, did you ever talk to the neighbors? And at that point, it was a little off-putting because the answer was, well, I talked to the people at the church. People don't live at a church. Congregates go to a church and they may buy the properties that you build. Cool. But people don't live at a church. I live there. These people live there. And if you wanted, and one of the council members said, or committee members said, oh, well, you should have a dialogue. I don't want to build there. They do. And I'm not putting it on you and saying, oh, you're terrible. It's not what I'm saying. But to really get buy-in from everybody who lives there, we're the people who need to be engaged. And I can't tell you what to build, and I don't want to tell you what to build. I like my neighborhood, I like my house. You know, I like the field, but if you have to build, you build, you know. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yeah.
So, Councilman Baydoun, you know, that would be an ideal situation if we could have if I had the resources, the know-how, the understanding, be it the logistics of it, the operations part of it, in order to execute and promote a senior citizens, an area intended for senior citizens. It's actually a personal dream of mine that we've been discussing since I was born and raised in Windsor, Ontario, and I am the ethnic community that I'm part of. There was always dialogue as we were growing up, concern for our parents and wanting to ensure that there was a place for them as well too. I would love to do that. There's some hurdles that need to be cleared financially, a knowledge base that just isn't there right now. But if the city's got resources to promote something along those lines, we'd be all ears to discuss that, right?
We have like a 2 or 3 year waiting list to get into one of our senior homes in Dearborn Heights.
Well, maybe that's something that we need to be talking with you guys about. I mean, I'm going to be. My wife had mentioned that we've had construction projects in Howell, and we didn't have to go through any of the loops and hurdles that we're going through here because we didn't have to go through any type of rezoning. But when we were talking to our builder, who's actually on the zoning board over there. And we presented to him this project over here and just looking for feedback from him. And we'd engage with him after we had our meetings with the Planning Commission. And his jaw dropped when we told him what the outcomes of that were. He had indicated to us that if this was happening in Howell, you know, they'd be trying to find ways to promote this happening and to try to find grants and promote the funding, figure out ways to help the developer in order to get this executed. I'll go back to, and again, this is all very casual discussion, right? And everybody's got opinions over here, and I always say, hey, let's stick to facts. I want to just put out one matter of opinion, though. We have acquaintances and friends who are on city council in Garden City. Also, when we told them about this project, they said, hey, man, that would not be a challenge in Garden City because we want these things to happen over here. We're trying to promote better land utilization. We're trying to promote better residencies. And
I just want to respond to you on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to come off this way. Dearborn Heights and many areas that surround the creek, we tend to see a lot of flooding. So in Dearborn Heights, you got to remember something. We're very sensitive to things because, you know, people they're afraid of flooding. You know, anytime it rains or it just rains at all, Channel 7 is out there with its drone showing Dearborn Heights. And so, like, Howell, you might not see that. Garden City might be a little bit more raised, so you're not seeing that. And so you can understand that, like, look.
Yeah, of course.
At the end of the day, I think residents voicing their concerns, it's not out of a spiteful way or saying, no, we don't want you to be an investor. I think it's more so of saying, we just want to feel safe, feel acceptable in what's happening. And I think it goes, again, I use the word perception.
Yeah.
The perception is, you know, can this be an eyesore? The perception, and if it is, we can't control that. However, is it going to flood my backyard? Is it going to flood our basements? Then that becomes an issue where like cities like, hey, I need to engage in this.
I genuinely hope that when the discussion was initiated, that I kind of jumped into to use the wording that was presented to me in terms of retention and detention and the need to ensure that was there.
Yes,
I mean,
you did.
Again, I'm not a professional developer. I'm not a civil engineer. That didn't come up because of a casual discussion with anybody. It was part of the initial planning that we had, right? Like written on a napkin type of budgeting and all that type of stuff. It was definitely part of it. And I want to go back to Mr. Wenzel here. Councilman Wenzel, I apologize, forgive me for that. Councilman Wenzel, you had asked if we have a professional engineer as part of this. Of course we do. Licensed engineer who participates in activities in the city regularly. He was present with us at the last meeting that we had with the Planning Commission. So I want to make sure that your concerns about that are met. And when, you know, our work with him was, you know, kind of like meeting the requirements for the Planning Commission. So
Good. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else from the audience? How you doing, sir?
Good.
Please state your name, the city you reside in, the street that you live in. You got 2 minutes.
Sure. My name's John Kent. I live on Ann Arbor Trail. I mean, I sent a letter, kind of detailed, all of my opposition to it. I just wanted to kind of, I guess, reiterate that, of course, I'm opposed to it. Again, like others have said, I'm not opposed to.
Speak into the mic a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I'm not opposed to them actually building on it. I'm fine with, single-family homes, just like I think a lot of people are. It's just I don't want to see a change to a multifamily. I mean, that's kind of the main thing. Safety. There's a lot of different reasons that people that live in that neighborhood are kind of against it. And again, it's nothing personal against the developers or anything like that. We just
I read your letter.
we live
It was
there.
very well written.
Yeah, we live there. We have to live there. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. I want the city. I want our area to remain kind of, again, just single family. I think it's better for the whole area. I think everybody here, or all of the people that live in the area, are going to be very dissatisfied if it does end up getting rezoned. Again, developing is fine. See, you could put 10 single-family homes there. I plotted it out myself very meticulously because I thought about purchasing that land when it went up for sale like 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. But again, if it does end up getting rezoned to multifamily, I just feel like you're going to have a lot of unhappy people. I don't know about people moving and things like that, but the majority of the people that are here that live in the neighborhood are opposed to it. And I guess I just wanted to kind of add my opposition to it. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kent. Appreciate it. Anyone else in the audience?
This is across the street.
How you doing, ma'am? Please state your name, the city you reside in, the street that you live on. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Riley, and I live on Kenmore Street. I have my notes because I don't want to forget anything. Originally, at the planning meetings, the people were talking about building condos and not apartments. Now, they're talking about possibly apartments, which you get a different type of people that, like the lady was saying, people move in and out all the time of apartments. Okay, I'm here not to oppose the development of the property on Ann Arbor Trail, but I am here to oppose the rezoning to multiple family dwellings. The parcel was purchased knowing it was a single-family zone. And single-family homes can still be built even though it isn't the original vision. Changing the zoning opens the door to any possibilities like apartments, and through a tentative plan supposedly is now in the works. The hearing is strictly to change the zoning. We're not here to approve what they're building. So there's no promise of what will ever go in there once it's rezoned. We only know that somewhere down the road that may be changed also. We have too many condos and apartments in the area already. And I think that area north of Ann Arbor Trail should be kept conducive to what the neighborhood is, single families. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Under 2 minutes. How you doing, sir? Please state your name, the city you reside in, and the street that you live on. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Zuhair Abdelhad, Rosemary. I am not against building on that property because any development in the city, it's good. It brings taxes. It brings more people. It helps our schools too. But I hope, from experience in the city for almost 20 and some years listening to the city council, do not approve anything unless you have a solid commitment from the developer what he's going to do. So you do not have problems later on. That's all I have to say, and I wish him good luck.
All right, thank you. Under a minute. Go ahead, sir. Please state your name, the city you reside in, the street that you live on. You have 2 minutes. Your timer won't start until you start speaking.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I guess. I've lived in that area for 40 years, and it's always been a question in my mind why that property was never developed. Always has been. I've been to the 2 meetings on the zoning regarding this. There were 8 people on that commission, and there was a very vigorous discussion that probably exceeds a lot of the council's vigorous discussion on issues. When I've heard these people talk, I haven't heard anybody say no development. They're concerned with what it's going to look like. There was one person on the commission that indicated that maybe it would be worthwhile for these folks to talk to those folks. That still doesn't seem to be happening, and I would encourage that. And since I've watched council meetings for the last 40 years, I recall not too long ago that Ford Road development was creating issues for that neighborhood behind it.
Talking about the car wash property?
No, it's the, all of the, what do I want to
buildings?
call it? The super stores that, all of the little dinky places that are along Ford
So
Road.
before those were actually built, our city engineer stopped them, Mr. Dearborn. Maybe he can speak on that. George, if you can unmute him. He made him build a detention or retention, one of the two. And he actually stopped it and he made him put it underground.
Chair, I think he's referring to the whole Ford Road development where there used to be all houses and now they're all buildings.
Yeah, that's, I'm talking about the same thing, Councilman.
Okay.
It was a sewer.
It was a, yeah,
That's not what he's talking about.
yep.
So anyway, I don't have a dog in the hunt except the one I walk in the neighborhood all the time. I've enjoyed the neighborhood. It has been a wonderful neighborhood to live in. I have had any number of people move in and out along the area that I live in along Ann Arbor Trail, and I've had unusually good luck ending up with very excellent neighbors. I think that's what these people are asking for. They want some assurance that something's going to be done to give them good neighbors.
Council Chair.
Councilwoman, and then I'll have Councilman. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Just a question, do you remember what was built on that property since you've been there so long?
That property has been, let me see, I moved in there in 1982. It was empty then.
Oh,
Yeah, Rick just said it's been empty since
Oh, my
before him
God.
and,
Okay.
Tom combined their life.
wow.
I was just going by Tom's age.
Yeah. I think there was a pyramid there at one time.
I've been in the area 50 years and I've never seen anything built.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle were one of the first owners in that subdivision, and I have the original drawing, and there was nothing there when they built in 54.
Years ago, it's possible there was a farm there because there were a lot of farms.
Because there's a
In
farmhouse,
50 years, there's nothing.
because there's a farmhouse next to the.
Let's just build another farm. Can you imagine? Eggs are great right now.
Chickens, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Against zoning.
Just a couple of brief things. If you contact the commissioners or the planning commission, I think you're going to, there was a wide variety of opinions on that, in that group. And I think to get original, not filtered information from anybody, you might want to talk to some of those people to see what their positions were. And I think there were a lot of legitimate positions both ways. This is just a matter that this has been a wonderful neighborhood. People want to see it stay a wonderful, I mean, it has been outstanding to live there.
Council Chair. I just want to knock with this young man's comments. So, again, I hear and feel people's opinions, and I respect everyone's opinion, but everybody's entitled to an opinion.
Right.
And when we rezone something too, there's restrictions that we can put on that goes with it too. You're just not going to go build an apartment that's 6 or 7 stories, for example, or you can have condos that are 3 stories high. There will be restrictions. And before even, I mean, again, if something gets approved for them to move forward with a design process, it does not mean that they're approved on it. So yes, there is give and take that, although they want to build something, there's also restrictions on the city's end. And we can put restrictions.
Right.
But like you said, you can build condos, you can build one-story apartments, they're considered apartments, or you can build three-story condos. You know, there's limitations to stuff also and restrictions that come with it, just not here, we approve it and you can build whatever you want, it does not, or anything going there, it doesn't work that way.
Well, again, I live up the road from there, and I know these folks want to make some profit.
And that's fine.
The city wants to have some tax dollars.
And I promise you one thing, and I'll say this to all the residents, that when it does come and they finally does come back to us, and everybody's opinion will be taken into consideration, and certain restrictions will be put on it. This is not a free-all here, go ahead, anything's approved.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
You do provide a lot of interesting television.
They'll be ending soon.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, I'm gonna give you, you can come up, okay, you can go from,
Well, I would just like to say, I was at that planning commission meeting, and they said once the zoning was changed, we had no control.
No,
There was
you
no
don't.
approval according to the
You don't.
planning commission. Once it's changed, they can do whatever they want. Now you're saying their plans have to be approved.
Well, everything has to go,
Planning commission.
no, everything, so it's not.
let Rick answer.
But, again, Rick is gonna answer this too, but not when something's approved by us, go ahead, we're just gonna go start building. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, well, that's the way they.
yeah, it's definitely not, no, there's structure there a little, to some degree.
So I don't know if you know this, but all the way around you is already RM. There's only a little spot right by Columbia that is not. So once it gets changed to RM, if it does, they still have to go through a whole nother site plan approval, the stormwater, the water, the sewage, everything. So that's why you go first for the zone change, and then then they'll spend all the money and show you what they're gonna build.
But we could never go back to single family once it's rezoned.
Well, you could easily buy that piece of property and rezone it to R1 again.
Yeah, I wish.
But it's,
Hey, Council Chair?
Sir.
Real quickly, I'd like to, people have been talking about tax base. I'd be interested to find out the difference if we had the maximum amount of homes, single-family homes built there, and how much tax dollars we'd get from that, and if we had multi-families, saying how our tax dollars. But is it some astronomical difference, or hardly anything to even be concerned about, you know?
And I wouldn't know, but you'd have to ask like the assessor.
The assessor's office. I'll call them
And it
tomorrow.
was at the last meeting, and it was in excess of $100,000.
$100,000, well, for a year, what
Yeah.
would taxes be on that many homes, though?
That's on the site, what they're trying to do, the assessor said it'd be in excess of $100,000.
You could probably build, how many homes do you think you could build on that property? 4? No, 4, you could build, that's a pretty big, more than 4. What do you think, Rick? No?
probably about 4.
4? Quarter acre, yeah, 4 max?
I'll speak looking at Rick here, but we kind of did an assessment prior to purchase of the home in regards to whether or not how many compliant individual parcels, lots we could extract from that. The dimensionality of the property just doesn't suffice to do something like put a street down the middle and get homes on two sides. The logistics, the cost of getting 5 versus 4 just doesn't pan out. So, based on the width of the property and the minimum dimensional requirements, the assessment is 4 parcels.
Well, you could build condos, more condos.
Well, that's why we're here, sir.
Joint buildings.
But that's
They're just like you could
exactly why
build,
we're
like,
here.
Single-family homes are just connected together, right?
That's so condos do require RM, and that's part of the discussion that we're here. So,
Okay, guys, I think we've heard, unless there's anyone else from the audience that hasn't spoken yet, I'm going to have some final remarks from council members on this specifically. Does anyone have any remarks on this? Mr. Deeb, do you have anything on this specifically? Can you unmute Mr. Deeb? Guys, please, nothing from the audience, please.
All right, so I just wanted to point a couple of things. As Mr. Watland had indicated, this is the step one. There will be extremely detailed review coming up if the area is rezoned. Things like the setback requirements, the height of the project, detention. One of the most important things that we look at for every development, including our own development, is impact of that development on our stormwater system. So this will be definitely included in the review. So yes, the developer will have to go before the planning commission once again. And then once the site plan is determined and engineering is completed, we will be looking at things like this. Conditions will be applied. We will evaluate the impact on our storm system, our water sewers, all of that stuff will be taken into account. But again, we will do that after the site has been rezoned. So that's just normal process.
Thank you, Mr. Deeb.
Yes, sir.
So I have my comment, as council chair is on the phone. My closing comment says that, sometimes people don't want to see change in the community, and it's unfortunate. Because no home is made to last forever, and no property is made to last 100 years, to be honest, in the condition it's in. For myself, example, I bought a home. I knew what I was buying. I was buying property. I knocked the house down. I rebuilt my home. But I built it to what I want it to be. It was a ranch. I just built a ranch. But, we want to see development come in the city. Yes, we are working on a master plan, and the master plan does call for, multi-use properties, multi-family properties and everything, and it's required, and it's needed. Be honest with you, some of our homes in the city, the cheapest home we can find is $200,000-$300,000 easily, so people can afford it. We got to also have, affordable housing for people. And again, I'm not against any business or property developer coming in the city, but as long as it meets, our standards, our guidelines, and what the area needs and the wants of the area, I'm for it. But again, once we rezone something, does not mean that we're going to go ahead and just go ahead. It's a free-for-all. No, it's not that simple. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Again, just keep in mind, I think with the gentleman that spoke earlier, he hit the nail right, he hit the hammer right on the nail. I think you just need to have those conversations, and but it needs to be, I feel the tension is so much. You guys need to kind of just release that. I think Vince has already released some of the tension. I think you guys should all just kind of communicate with each other. I know this is, a vision of yours that potentially you'd like to go live there after selling your house as your kids grow old and stuff, but I think have the conversation. Senior housing living. I am telling you, there is a huge demand for it.
So I want to be kind of formal, and I know that we said that this is kind of an informal proceeding, but I want to be a little bit formal here, saying that is an option that we are more than willing to consider. But there's hurdles to clear that, where if the city is willing to participate and promote that and provide some aid and help on something like that, we are game for that. And you're here. I'm putting my hand up saying, yeah, that is something that we are absolutely willing to consider. We'd love council to push for that as well.
Put a nice walk around for them to be able to do.
All those things could be considered, right? But if the city is willing to participate and promote that, and do what other municipalities are doing to promote similar development, then we're game for that as well too.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I feel like today we had a good, clean discussion. Anything else from any other council member? Anything from anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, meeting's over. Thank you.